Hello and welcome to this 20-minute workout. This video is designed for you to be able to do anywhere, anytime. So I've not included any equipment other than my little head block, but you could use a towel or a cushion if you want to, or if you don't have that towel, just get rid of that completely. The idea of this is that you'd be able to do it either in a small area on the floor, with or without your mat, or on a bed space. So if you're staying with family or you're just struggling to fit it into your routine and you're kind of bribing yourself by doing it first thing in the morning to stop you having to get out of bed any sooner, this little workout is going to help you keep moving well, work on flexibility and just ease any sort of stiffness and tightness you might be getting from this change of routine that we're experiencing at this time. So, as said, all you need is a mat space. We're going to come and lay down onto our backs to start with. So bring yourself into a nice comfortable position, head block in place if you would like that. I'm going to start with my feet nice and wide. So if you can imagine, if you don't have your mat space with you, imagine your feet just sitting on the edges of that mat there. I'm going to start by just allowing my hands to sit onto my belly and taking some nice deep breaths in and out of my hands. Now I don't want you to force and push your tummy up into your hands. I just want you to think about allowing the breath to come down low into your tummy as you breathe in. That's it, and then exhale, let it melt away. And as you do this another 3 or 4 times, I want you to allow yourself a sense of heaviness and connection into the feet, the pelvis, the shoulders, and the head. So allow yourself just to sink and let go into the mat slightly. And then after the next nice deep breath cycle, you're going to let your breath go back to its natural rhythm, but still creating that awareness of being able to take the breath lower and further through the body. So I'm going to take you into your pelvic tilt to start with. So just gently rolling backwards into the pelvis and forwards, feeling the lower back lengthen and press into the mat and then softly arch away. And then we've got this nice wide foot position because it's going to lead us into our next exercise in a moment. I want you to think about just pressing softly down into the feet to press the pelvis into that tilt and then melt it back down into the mat. Now can you take that in a hula hoop action, rolling down to the tailbone, across to one hip, into the lower back, around to the other hip, and then changing directions. If you prefer to do sort of half a dozen in one direction, and then change and do half a dozen the other way, that's fine. If not, you can alternate like I'm doing here. And I'm really looking just to create that nice softness and fluidity. You might notice how one direction just seems to be a lot more smooth and kind of natural and automatic than the other. And usually that's just where we've got a little bit of imbalance of how our hips and pelvis and legs like to fire off. Okay, can you do one more of those circles, whichever direction you're going in, then holding it here into the center. So I'm going to get you to take your arms up above your chest, either interlacing the fingers or placing the palms together. And then just gently roll yourself to one shoulder and then return and roll to the other shoulder. If this feels too much to hold the arms up above your chest, you can come here into a Cossack position and roll. So all I'm looking for is that my shoulder just comes off of the mat. I'm just thinking about lifting that shoulder blade off. I'm not forcing back into my head or really tensing with my body. I'm just thinking about mobilizing the upper back. And as I do this, my lower back and my pelvis is just staying in a nice steady position. Okay, one more time each side. Okay, we're going to elongate this. So if this next version is too much for you, just come back to where you were before doing this version. So if you can, reach your arms up over your head. So you can see how I'm pushing my hands away. If again you're not liking this, you can just do this holding on to a book or into a yoga block. And then from here, I'm going to push through my left foot. I'm going to press through my left hip, driving that left hip off the floor, rolling onto my shoulder and return. And again, other side. So I'm looking here for a little bit of activation into my hip now as well. So I'm moving my whole trunk, not just my upper trunk. I said if you're not happy with this, you can bring the arms back down, either just doing the chest rolls or bringing in that hip driver. Okay, one more time each side. And return. And then come back to the center here, releasing those arms down. Now we're just going to go into those hips. So settle yourself back to that middle point. Nice long spine. Drive and press one hip. So I'm pushing down with my right foot, pressing my right hip forwards and then peeling it back into the mat on the other side. Press and drive, peel it back. We're looking at engaging through the glutes, lengthening through the front of the hip. Exhale, push. Inhale, control it back down. So this is a really nice one to unpick tight hips if you've had to do more traveling or you're sitting more, engaging those glutes and lengthening through the inner leg and that front of the leg. Okay, let's come back to the center here now. I'm going to leave our spine just to rest. I'm going to allow my knees to roll left and right. So my legs are separate. So my legs are going to rotate in on the behind leg and out on the leading leg. So again, I'm just going to rest my hands here over my ribs just to really focus on letting the upper body soften and then letting the knees roll left and the knees roll right. Now on your next one, come to the center, place your left foot over your right knee and off you go, doing that same sweeping action left and right. Mobilizing the hips and the pelvis, creating lots of space around your back. Seeing if you can just nudge in and out of that stretch. We're not looking for a held stretch, we're just looking for creating fluidity, almost a little kind of bringing that circulation, almost lubricating and freeing off any tightness. So I'm not forcing, I'm just nudging in and out. And you might be able to hear how I breathe out into that point where I feel the stretch. And almost like a letting go into it. One more here. Now if you're comfortable too, you can take hold of that right leg and bring it in towards you, creating a deeper stretch into the left side. You don't have to do that, especially if you feel like you have to be like this with your bottom and your head off the floor to do that. I want you to keep your hips and your head down. So if you need to, just leave that foot back down on the floor. You can just lift up the heel and press the knee away with your hand instead. Okay, let's switch over, bringing right leg on top of left, and we're swishing left and right. Just seeing if we can mobilize off and free up this right hip. Again, if you don't like this, you can go to a cross leg position, slightly different, or just go for those knee sways through with your legs in parallel. So if any problems around hips and knees, if they get a bit irritable, then we're going to leave that alone. So I'm still focusing on keeping my ribs nice and soft and heavy, releasing them and relaxing them into the mat, and looking for that little bit of stretch down the back of the hip. We've got two more of these. One more there. And then when you're ready, I'm going to bring that left knee up, pressing and rotating out into my right hip. Remember, you don't have to lift the leg off if you want to. Find just that really good stretch with the feet onto the floor, that's absolutely fine. But again, we're not letting the hips tuck up, we're pressing them down and away, thinking a nice elongation through the whole spine. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and return. Okay, last one here, laid on back. I'm going to take hold of the back of my left leg and I'm just going to gently press my foot towards the sky. It's a little bit of a dynamic hamstring stretch. If you do get any sciatica or sciatic-like pain, see how far you feel okay with this. I only want you to find that stretch. If it's just to here and down, that's absolutely fine. I just want you to find that awareness of there's a little bit of stretch, but I'm not pushing through it. I'm not trying to hold it and bring my leg really close to me. I just nudge and release, nudge and release. And you should find that you get a point where your quads start to work and you feel the back of the leg getting that nice dynamic. It's almost like a flossing action through the back of the leg. About 5 more seconds here. 2, let's just do one more of those and release. Let's take hold of the other leg. Same thing again. Only taking the foot as high as you can, just find that slight awareness in the back of the leg. A little bit of a nudge, release, release. Great. Well done. Another 5 seconds here. You're just looking for that little area of tightness and then going straight out of it. Last one. And then release. Fantastic. Okay, let's bring ourselves round. We're going to come here now into hands and knees position. What I want you to do is just pop your head block out of the way for a moment. We're going to start here first of all into our puppy stretch. So I want to be able to stretch my arms out. I'm going to leave my hips up over my knees. If you've got any neck and shoulder problems, hang fire. I'm going to show you an alternative. So I'm going to slide my arms out, letting my chest come down nice and low. So the idea of this is my hips are up high,
My heart is down low, and I'm sliding my fingertips away and letting my back come into a gentle extension. It's a big stretch for the shoulders and the upper back. Great for unpicking any prolonged sitting, driving, and rounded shoulders. If you don't like that position, you can fold your arms across the mat, and then I'm just going to rest my head either turned or to the center, just allowing myself still to let go of the heart and be high with the hips, but without the same amount of pressure into the shoulders. Great. 2 more here. Nice breath in and out. Last breath. And then rock your weight back, landing those hands up underneath the shoulders. So I'm making my little box here with my body. And I'm going to start with my cat stretch into rockers. So I'm going to roll through the pelvis, gently rounding the back. And I've got an even effort through my knees and my palms, and then I'm going to rock forwards and backwards. And I'm going to keep this rocking forwards and backwards action going as long as I can keep the connection down into the palms and down into the knees. If I rock off and I feel like I release my pressure into my hands, I've gone too far. So you want the rounded spine, the rocking forwards and backwards. Nice strong activation into the core, mobilizing, stretching out that back. Lovely, last 2 here. And then from here, I'm going to get you to step through with your left leg and bring this through. The idea here is that I'm sitting down into my hips and pelvis, and I've got this nice long diagonal line, nice long straight lines coming up the mat here. If I can, I'm going to leave, I've got my left foot through, I've got my right hand on the floor. If I can't reach that, that's where you grab your block, either stack it on its side or grab a book so that you're not quite down so low. But you don't have to do that. From here, I'm going to start by placing my other hand, my left hand onto my left knee, and just gently rotating, looking across. As I do this, I think about hugging my knee towards my chest. So I'm not just pushing, it's an active stretch. So I hug it in and back there, holding that nice long line through the side of the body here. Okay, when you're ready, I'm going to put my hands down either side of my leg, and I'm going to go into a rock forwards and backwards. Again, you can do this with your hands onto a block, or if you don't want to go down really low, you can put your hands onto your sofa or on the side of your bed and put your hands onto there for that support. But I want you to keep your hands at the same point wherever they are, and your feet and knees exactly where they are, rocking forwards and backwards. Okay, just a couple more here. Again, we're just giving a little bit of that flossing action to the hips. And then when you're ready, keeping that right hand down here, I'm going to go for a nice big arm opener sweeping through. So imagine you're lifting through the elbow. Don't worry about how high you're going, but you're turning your body towards that supporting leg, getting a nice rotation through the chest. Now, if you've got any neck and shoulder problems, you don't like that, I just want you to keep your hand just by in front of your shoulder, and imagine you're making this come through the elbow rolling, just taking the pressure off of the neck. Okay, one more here. And then back down. Okay, from here, unhook those legs. Step the hands back underneath your shoulders and take your hips into a side to side sway. And I want you to imagine that you're trying to sit your hips out to the side of the mat. So imagine I've got a little cushion here, and I'm going to go and pop my hips directly to the side of my knee. And we press. So a nice little stretch out. If you want to exaggerate that, we're going to hold it on the next one. So we're going to stay here. I'm going hips to left, so that means I'm going to straighten out with my right arm and try and get a nice elongation into that little twist. Holding it there for 5 more seconds. You don't have to have the arm out if you prefer not. And then when you're ready, return, hips go to the opposite side, sit out to the side, and slide that left arm away. If it feels too much into your right shoulder, just keep those hands underneath you and let yourself just sit into those hips. If you can, create this little bit of reach and rotation through the body. And then when you're ready, return to the centre. Let's step that right foot through. So I've got right foot on the floor, left hand next to it, and then from here I'm going to take my right hand onto my knee and gently press myself into a rotation. I'm looking at not only pushing my right hand into my knee, but also hugging this inner knee towards my heart, like I'm trying to draw them together. Almost helps to imagine you've got a little balloon between your knee and your chest, and you're just gently pressing it. One more breath cycle there. And then we're going to land our hands onto the floor or onto a block or chair in front of us for our little rockers. So we're rocking forwards and backwards. So again, just like we did laid on our back, I'm not pushing into a deep stretch. I'm just looking for that point of, there's my stretch. And again, there it is. And just nudge into that little bit of restriction and then I'm rocking back out again. Creating some lovely fluidity in my body, easing off any sort of tightness, but I'm not forcing my body to go into a deep stretch. Okay, 2 more of these little dynamic rockers. And returning yourself through. This time, right arm is going to sweep all the way up. Remember, you've got that option just to go with the elbow, just rotating the chest. The arm is a lovely addition, but actually this is really about rotating the body towards the leg and rotating it to the floor. Okay, let's do 3 more of these. Breath in at the top and out. Breath in and out. Last one here. And out. Okay, I'm going to uncross my legs. I'm going to come round here into a sitting position. So I'm setting my knees out nice and wide. If you prefer, you can sit on a cushion or a rolled up towel just so you feel a little bit more elevated in those hips. I want you to come into a prayer position, either palms together or hands onto heart, as your wrists and joints feel most comfortable with. As you do this, I want you to think about getting into your sitting bones here. Almost imagine there's little magnets underneath them drawing and connecting you into the floor. Pressing those palms together, nice tall spine here. I'm going to exhale and rotate to look towards one knee. Sitting tall, breath in, and then return, exhale over to the other side. Again, I'm not forcing, so if I really force my rotation, that's me there. But I can feel I'm really overworking in my shoulder blades. My kind of natural rotation is there. So I probably lost about a quarter of that. But I'm going to use that breath in through the head, grounding down into the sitting bones, using my core to support that. And switch the other way, rotate up through the crown of the head, breath in, and then switch. Hold for the breath in, and switch. So it's almost, because we're using the breath in the hold, so we're using that breath in, I see this as using the breath to facilitate that mobility and that stretch. Now we're going to exaggerate that a little bit to get a little bit more upper back movement. So this time as I rotate to the left hand side, I'm going to release my right hand, bow my head, imagine I'm trying to reach across the room, but I'm not going to lift off with my sitting bone, nice and grounded, and then we return, hands to heart, rotate. Left hand goes away across the line of the diagonal, and so fold forwards, breath in, and then return, hands together, rotate. Hand goes away, fold, breath in. Return. Hand goes away. So we're getting this little fold through the spine as well as getting this lovely twist. So I don't want you to force through it. We're using that breath in to create more space in our spine. Okay, one more time to each side. Creating that twist, reach, breath in. Exhale, ground through your core to peel back up and rotate. Final one, reach away. Hold the breath in. And then release back in and return. Okay, we're going to take it into our side bend now. So we're going to rotate now, take our hand behind us, reach up to the sky, breath in. And then return and twist. Hand comes down, reaching up. Now if you feel like you want to stay in a hold, that's absolutely fine. You could stay here for 2 or 3 breath cycles. I'm going to keep it on this nice dynamic active mobility focus, but if you feel like you need to hold the stretch, go for it, especially if you felt some of that tightness creeping in over your time off from your usual sort of exercise and Pilates. Okay, we're going to do it one more time each side, and each time I'm thinking about just creating a little bit more length between my ribs, but still keeping that lovely connection down into my sitting bones. Perfect, lovely. Right, then we're going to come back into a sitting position with our hands behind us. What I want you to do is just to let your feet come out in front of you, just into this position. Okay, so I'm going to show you from here. I want you to support with your hands. We're going to go into a little last bit of spinal and hip work. So you're going to round your spine, bringing your shoulders forwards, and then peel. Rocking, can you see I'm going to come from my tailbone, I'm going to roll from my pelvis, lengthen, and then lift, almost like I'm going to try and go into a reverse plank. So I'm not arching, I'm just going nice and long and I'm pressing, lifting out my shoulders. So let's go again. Roll into the pelvis, roll, bow forwards, keep active in the arms, breath in. So I'm not slumping. And then I roll out from my pelvis, sitting nice and tall. Roll the shoulder blades together, stretch open the front of the chest. Go again. Now if you don't like this for your neck and shoulders, on this next one I'm going to show you a different version, but it's basically a cat stretch. Okay, so if you don't like this leaning onto your shoulders, you're going to roll back from here for a stretch out, and then you're going to come up nice and tall into a little kind of hands behind head, elbows wide, so you've got this lovely extension. So we hands to the legs round, breath in, and then hands behind the head, lift the heart. But if not, hand stays behind you, roll through, bow, but stay active through the arms, and then roll back out, feel the chest. Make this one your final one, whichever version you're doing. Rolling forward, stay active, and then rolling back out again. Breath in across the front of that chest. Well done. Okay, now I've got you on your mat and I've got you doing a little bit of movement. I want you at the end of this video to add in one stretch that you know your body loves. It could be your pigeon stretch, it could be a quad stretch, it could be as simple as a nice prayer wrist stretch. Whatever it is, you have to do one of your own stretches right now. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you're feeling a little bit more refreshed and mobile and you're having a wonderful time this Christmas season. Do come and join us again. We've got loads of content on our YouTube page, so if you're missing your practice, if you're away, or you just haven't got our classes on, go head over there. You'll find lots and lots of content for your own enjoyment. Take care. Bye-bye.